What's going on, traders? Johnny here, and today I want to talk to you about consistency and never giving up when trading. Also want to talk about when you don't give up and you consistently show up to the market, you can make really good wins. Making 4% a day on a small account could result in $100. And I want to showcase to you the power of that now. So basically, this is a Robinhood account. Um, Currently was at what, $2,400, and it's not a large account. And so, if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you would know that I don't trade with a large amount of money, nor do I need a large amount of money to trade with. And this gives a really good example of that. By having around $2,300 before I made this $100 today, obviously resulting in $2,484. I did it by managing my risk and also by identifying patterns. And so, having $2,000, you can make $100 a day. It doesn't have to be every day. There are days where I only make 20 bucks or 50 bucks, like in this screenshot here, where again, I only made $58 this day, but it was still a decent amount of money. And by trading with around $2,000, I'm able to get in and out of certain positions. Now, I did have some foundational companies, so I wasn't using the entire $2,000 to make $100 either. So, by understanding that, um, let me get out of this screenshot here. There we go. By understanding that I didn't use all of my money to make that $100, I was holding SCHD for quite some time because I did like their dividends that they were paying out. And um, what I wanted to show you was I was trading Mara and MARA. So here's a screenshot here of this day. I only had about $1,400 in this position. I had about 60 shares and I was up $50. So my total return was $49.82. Today's return was $50.34. That was about a 3% profit on this market value. So I did place a trailing stop sell. So as this went up, my trailing stop also went up with it. So when it does begin to curl over and come down, then I would stop out at a higher price than what I paid for. So by having the 61 shares available to sell and identifying that this was going to push up, I was able to lock in, $50, which was half of my profits for the day. And by doing so, I was able to make some pretty decent money this day. And again, you don't need a lot of money to make $100 a day. Now, I was using Mumu to showcase, to see that upward momentum here. It broke out here on this moving average, and as you can see, there's a lot of supports and resistance levels that it did break through. There was some high volume. The RSI was pushing up as well, and the MACD also opened up down here, where it went from red, negative, to crossing over and having some larger green bars. I also took some position. I believe I took some position on this as well. I had $500 in buying power, which resulted in 22 shares that I could buy at that level. So by having a couple different trading accounts, you could also trade more or be able to diversify and trade on different accounts to maximize your potential profits. So by buying at 22 and selling at 23.50, that was $1.50 per share, which could resulted in $30 on this, or actually on WEBULL. It's not Mumu, actually on WEBULL account. So making $30 on WEBULL, and then also making another, um, $50 on this account. I was able to make, $130, $140 with less than $3,000. And it's all about showing up and identifying those patterns when you're looking for those trades. Again, here's another illustration of the exact same trade. As it sold off, I've noticed that it caught some support around that $21.50 level and pushed up to $23.45. So again, being able to identify these oversold reversals and doing it on a consistent basis allowed us to make some decent money this day. Now this is just one day, and this is just one example of um, this position. Another position, um, another thing that we can showcase is when it starts to curl over, then that's when you lock in profits. So here's a good illustration of that. As this began to curl over, we were still at $101, and my stop loss, we did take profits. Now you see on this one, I only have one share of Mara. So I sold all of my shares up at the top, resulting in more buying power. Now I have $1,473 in buying power compared to earlier when I only had $53 in buying power, because most of my money was in Mara. I had 85 shares actually, to be exact, sold those at the top and was able to lock in those profits. And I'm only showcasing this to you because, one, I want you guys to be aware that you don't need a lot of money to start trading. You don't need tens, twenties, $30,000, $100,000 to make some consistent money in the market. By understanding certain levels like support and resistance, and knowing that you can get in at the bottom and being patient to ride the wave to the top. It doesn't matter whether you trade on WEBULL, Moomoo, Robinhood, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, or any other brokerage accounts, whether it's futures, stocks like me, ETFs, or commodities, gold, or the euro, whatever it is. If you guys can show up consistently every day and look for those patterns and look for those setups, you can grow your account. And we didn't have a huge move. We're talking about $1.50 per share, which isn't much at all. But having, 85 shares was enough to make that $100 in the day. So really, ultimately only having a $1,300 or $1,400 position resulted in about $100, which was pretty much, I think it was a 7 or 8% trade on the day. So again, I want you guys to know, don't get discouraged or overwhelmed if you're not where you want to be. Continue to show up every day and continue to trade good setups, and you don't have to use all your money. You can put money into a ETF or a dividend stock or something that tracks the overall market, so you have some influence and you have the ability to scale and grow with the market. But you're also using some of your money, maybe 25% or 50% of your portfolio, to day trade and swing trade. You don't have to be all in on a day trade or be all in on long-term investing. That's what makes investing so great. And trading, you can split it up. On this scenario, I used about $300 or $400 long term just to kind of hold in the market and grow. And then I was using another $1,500 or $2,000 to trade with. So, however you want to do it, whatever's best for you, could be a great way for you to start building that compounding interest or the compounding effect where your $100 a day now starts to compound. And what I like to do is I like to start with around, well, when I first started, it was around $1,000, and I would grow that $1,000 to two, three, four, even $5,000, and then pull that money out once I started feeling maybe a little bit uncomfortable with how much I was trading, and also to take profits, because if you can grow your account from 1,000 to even 2,000, and then the next month maybe you go too heavy on your trade and maybe you lose that entire $2,000, then you're back to zero again. But if you were to take that $1,000 that you profited and take it out and take your account back down to your starting point of $1,000, then you would be able to, well, one, lock in those profits, take them out of the market, use it for other stuff like bills or other investment opportunities. For myself, I know when I took out money, when I scaled my first 1,000 to $6,000, I took out $5,000 and I put it on a down payment on a car. And then the next time I did it, I went from 1,000 to 5,000. I took $4,000 out and I used it as a down payment on a another on a home. Um, and that might not be a large down payment to some people's down payments need to be 10, 20, $30,000. But because I kept my expenses low and I also kept my um, the value of the home I was buying very low as well. I wasn't buying a $500,000 house. I was buying like maybe a $30,000 house. I only needed about $3,000 or $4,000 down to get into that deal. So um, whatever your goals are, make sure that you know that you can scale and you can take your profits out. There's nothing saying that you have to keep all of your money into those stock accounts. And that's what I wanted you to know today. By showing up every day, by being consistent, and by knowing when to take profits and even pull them out of the market to use for other things will ultimately help you grow as a trader as well. You need to understand that your level of trading and your skill level may not grow as fast as your trading account. I know when I started, I was trading with 1,000, but when I got into those $5,000 ranges and $6,000 ranges, it was a little bit harder for me to manage my emotions and control my risk tolerance. There was days I'd swing, $200 or $300 in the negative, and I was biting my fingernails and I was really nervous sitting on the edge of my seat for it to then go back up, and I made $200 or $300 or $400 on that trade. But by understanding that those different fluctuations are going to be there and knowing what your emotional tolerance is as well. So for me, even when I started, it was around that $1,000 mark, and sometimes that's okay until you grow more. So now I trade with a larger sum of money and I'm comfortable with that, but it took many years. I've been doing this for over 8 years and have learned a lot about myself as well as my trading style. Um, and that's really it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it educational and informational, and there's a piece of it that you can take away to help you on your trading journey. And the least that you can do for me, or the very least would be just to smash that like button for me and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. I do trade live every morning at market open with our team, and if you want to join that team, 100% free lifetime access. It is the first link in the description below. Thank you guys and have a great rest of your day.